SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive.
Good morning to you. How you doing? On a Monday morning in what we will now forever call the dead zone between Christmas and New Year's, where the world just kind of seems to take a knee, take a breath, just stop and go. And I think we're due that probably at this point. So we're going to get into some esoteric topics today and this week here on Mornings.
Esoteric is too big of a word at 6:07 a.m. on December 29th, Dave Hughes.
Weird stuff. How about that?
Esoteric.
Esoteric.
Too big of a word, sir.
I got to use big words. I'm auditioning for middays. How you doing, Will? Will in the booth?
I'm good.
How was your Christmas?
It was all right. We didn't really do anything. My wife and I announced that we're having a child.
I was about to bring that up. You made it public, so now we can talk about it. Well, Dad, you got butterflies yet?
No, it's not quite real yet because she's not quite showing that much. She's 5 months, I think. So it's like you have to imagine it right now. We'll soon be getting to where it's, real. It's not quite real yet.
Yeah, and I get that. I understand that. It's not until, just to pull a random example out of the air that I'm sure I'm totally making up, until you're sitting in the drive-thru at a yogurt place at 2:30 in the morning to get that one specific flavor that you're not going to get any sleep until she gets some, it's not real. That's coming, buddy.
Okay.
That's coming. Just to brace you up for that. Yeah. But it's all worth it. And you get that little bundle of joy, and in 18 years it will hate you and move out. I'm just full of good news for you this morning. But in all seriousness, congratulations to you two. I know you are beyond thrilled. You got to be. And that's going to be a lucky baby. Going to have a couple of fantastic parents.
Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a May baby, so my wife will be hot and miserable once she's having it. So that'll be fun. Yeah. Well,
it could be worse. I was born at the end of August. My mother went through practically the entire summer months as her last trimester. Yeah.
The dog days.
Yes. So, May is not perfect, but it's still better. It could be worse.
Yeah.
Be sure to remind her of that when she starts complaining about April, because I'm sure it'll calm her right down.
She's already complaining. What are you talking about, Dave?
Yeah, well, that's her right as an expectant mother.
That's right.
Because that's hard. Guys don't really put a lot of thought into it. It's just something that's happening in the house with them at times. But that is a very hard job to manufacture another human being.
It's the most difficult job.
Yeah, and hats off to them. I don't know how they do it without choking their husbands to death, but they somehow manage to pull it off, and it is a very hard job, and they deserve every single. I love the places. I'm sure you've seen these before. You'll be looking for them now. There are some businesses that have specific parking spots reserved closest to the door for expectant mothers.
That's the whole reason we did this, to be honest with you, for better parking.
For the parking. That makes perfect
either
sense.
That or become handicapped. It's one of the two. The other thing I've discovered is, or I'm going to discover, is they don't come with an instruction manual.
Oh, no.
At least when you buy a new vacuum, you get an instruction manual with how to, do all the stuff. Not a kid. And not pregnancy. That's the other thing, is you don't learn that. I've tried to read books on it, and nothing. There's no books that really.
No. I'll break it down for you. As an experienced dad, let me break this down for you. Not on the pregnancy. You're on your own, buddy, just like the rest of us. But once the baby gets here, you have 2 jobs. 2 jobs and 2 jobs only.
All right.
Keep one end fed and the other end clean. You take care of that, that's 90% of the potential problems gone.
Duly noted.
You think I'm joking. That's literally your life for about a year. Keep one end clean and the other end fed. And then you're in business. And make sure you know which end is which. That's the trick to it. That's the second layer to that advice. You pull that off, you got no problems, no issues to worry about moving forward. So, you hoping for a boy or a girl?
She's kind of hoping for a girl. I'm not one that hopes. I'm one that guesses objectively, and my objective guess is that it's going to be a boy because I have 2 nephews. My brother has 2 boys. My brother-in-law has 2 boys. I'm just guessing it's going to be a boy because we have all boys in the family, apparently. So. Okay,
yeah, but you also have to figure, her family line into it.
Mostly boys.
Mostly boys? Okay. So you're definitely going to have a girl. That's the way that works. You don't have a choice. You don't get to pick. It's an old cliche that it doesn't matter because you're going to love it just the same, which is the truth. However, that little girl will wrap daddy way tighter around her pinky than the little boy will.
That's what I'm told, so we'll see. Again, I'm more look at this, in a logical, analytical sense. My wife's much more emotional, I'm much
always
more,
a good combination, by
yes,
the way.
I'm much more, this has to happen, that has to happen, and all this kind of stuff. She's not that way whatsoever. So it's been fun so far because, like, for instance, the naming of the baby, which apparently is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably the biggest fight, I guess, that new parents have is, what are you going to name the kid? Or not fight, but, biggest discussion. Here's how my brain works, Dave. My brain said, hey, let's wait till we find out the gender before we have any argument. Why would I waste 50% of my time, right?
Oh, first-time dads. I love them.
Why would I waste 50% of my time? Because I know that is not going to occur. So my brain says, okay, we'll wait for the gender. Her brain doesn't work that way. Her brain immediately goes to, let's start compiling lists of names and go through them all. And I'm like, why? Why do it now?
Well, I'll give you one little insight, one little perspective here. She can focus on that or that she's getting fatter and it's your fault. Which one would you rather? Which one are you picking? We're checking your self-preservation instincts here. Which one are you picking? Let her make her lists. Make suggestions. I'm going to throw Mortimer out there. You don't see that one anymore.
Oh, man. Her names are so terrible, too. It's just... like, she mentioned... Girl names to me are more difficult. And she's like, what do you think about Philomena? I'm like, is that like a disease, Philomena? I think I had a great aunt that had Philomena really bad. She's like, no, that's a name.
A little antibiotics cleared it right up.
For a human, that's a name? I said, no, that's not going to be the name of my child. No, that's...
Philomena. Well, now, of course, you've also got the whole Greek heritage thing coming in.
Yeah, I'm going to read you some of the names. Hang on.
Okay, I'm ready.
We got one of those shared notes, so she can see anytime I make a suggestion or something. I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to let you guess which ones are mine and which ones are hers.
Okay.
Athena.
I'm ready.
Athena.
That's hers.
Apollo.
That's hers. Noticing a trend already.
Katerina.
Probably hers.
Nicholas.
That's yours.
No, that's hers.
Oh, okay.
These are all hers so far. Stavros.
Oh, yeah. That
Anastasia. These are all hers.
Will, I've known you for a long time.
Zabetta. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of mine. John. William. Luke. Michael. You notice a difference in the names?
Slight change in tone there. And now, batting cleanup for the Ole Miss Rebels baseball team, Stavros East. Because that's the other fun thing.
Sounds like a Bond villain.
You ain't going to win this one. I'm just going to tell you right up front, you're not going to win. We continue on this Monday morning, on mornings, right after this. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Track.
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up.
Time to shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net is where you go to find out more. Did some research during the break, as I usually do, because I was curious. Stavros, a popular Greek male name meaning cross, which is rooted in Christianity. Why do you not like Christianity, Will?
That is also the name of the main James Bond villain, Ernst Stavros Blofeld, in a bunch of the movies. I kid you not. It's
yeah, they just call him Blofeld, but Stavros is part of his
middle name.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I've researched this. I did my research. A couple of the other names, in case you're wondering, we'll go through them. Emmanuel, Veda, Aristotle. Yeah.
Okay.
Stavrula.
Which is the female version of Stavros.
Yeah. Calliope. I don't know how you pronounce. I can't pronounce half of these. I certainly can't spell them. Christodoulos. Sounds like a dessert. Let's see. That's pretty much it right now. Chrysola. Again, sounds like a moisturizing cream. Chrysola, by Pond's.
Let me just throw one out in all seriousness. It's a good multi-purpose name. It has some good connotations to it. Might I suggest Dave? Boy or girl. It'll be a conversation piece if it's a girl, but either one. I'm just going to throw Dave out there, and you can add that to the list and have a good laugh about it later.
I think my suggestions moving forward are just going to be gender neutral until the gender is known. I think I'm just going to go with Taylor, Chris, Terry. That's a gender neutral name, right?
Yeah.
I know male
depending on how you spell it, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to go with from now, moving forward.
It'll change 8 million times, and it'll pop out, and you'll look into that little face, and when it first pops out, it's going to look like somebody took a little wizened old lizard and dipped it in 40 weight, but they'll clean it up nice. It's going to be cute real quick. And then you look in that little face, and you're going to say, no, this really looks like a Bob, honey. Look at this. That's sometimes the way it works.
I mean, I guess back in the olden days, before you had, you could figure out what the gender was before the birth, you had to have this argument.
Yes.
Some people say discussion. I say argument. Beforehand. You had to be prepared for either one, either scenario. Now, in my brain, my analytical brain, I go, well, I don't have to have half of this discussion.
Yeah, but that's part of the fun.
You call it fun. I know this ain't fun.
Have you now? I think you said she's 5 months.
Yes,
roughly. What was the first piece of baby clothing you bought?
I haven't bought the first thing. Not one.
Oh, I wasn't talking about you.
Oh, somebody. You know what? Rhino got the first baby. As far as I remember, as far as I know, the first piece of clothing, he got a bib, like an Ole Miss bib. That's a Christmas present, I think. Because I was on the phone, and I think he heard me mention my wife's pregnant, and that's how he found out. So,
oh, that's perfect.
Yeah,
very good, very good. So that's your first one. The baby clothes will pick up speed. They'll really pick up speed when and if. I assume you guys are going to find out if it's a boy or a girl.
I think we're going to do the gender reveal on the air.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do.
With the cloud of colored smoke?
Well, I was talking to Brian Haydad about it, and he had a bunch of dumb ideas.
Well, I was going to say, when you're talking about prenatal announcements, I first think of Brian Haydad as well, but go ahead.
Speaking of big babies, no, I think probably the thing to do would be to play a song. So if it's whoever's producing in here, play, a boy song or a girl song. I don't know what those songs are, but something with the boys back in town, or something like that. Girls just want to have fun, or I don't know, whatever a girl song is. I think that's the way to do it.
I would just like to point out you are part of history. You are part of a momentous occasion. Will just identified the next fight he and his wife are going to have is which song to play once they find out the gender.
Well, we won't know. We'll be in the big studio. In my brain, this is the way that it's going to work. We'll be in the big studio, and then Borky or whoever's producing in here will know. We'll have the envelope, and we'll say, all right, you guys ready? And then do like a drum roll and then play the song, and that's how we discover it. In my brain, that's the way it works.
I just hope, and this is why I'm not allowed in the control booth ever, because you two would be sitting there all anxious and a flutter, and I'd just play some polka music and let you figure it out. Let it go for a minute and then do the real thing. Once again, they don't let me in that room for a reason.
I don't think a gender reveal's ever been done on the air. That's
I don't
probably
think
the
so.
first.
I don't think a proposal had ever been done on the air.
No, we've done them on TV, though, right?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, on the air, on SuperTalk, has been a big part of you guys' life.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense if you do the gender reveal here. Because this baby is going to have 3 million aunts and uncles.
Yes. I think the gender reveal, I don't think that's ever been done before on broadcast anywhere. So I think that'll be a first.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I like that. I'm in, even if it's just to tune in and watch to see if I pick up on any facial hint of disappointment when the announcement is made. I mean, ultimately it doesn't matter. It's beyond your control. It's out of your hands. But still, somewhere deep down, you have a preference. I'm not even going to ask you what it is. That's not fair. But deep down, you have a preference that if you got your wish, if you had your way, you'd want one or the other. And sometimes that slips through just very briefly. Luckily, I had all my children before gender reveals became a thing. The doctor walked in and said, well, you're having a boy. And we're like, okay, now what? And then went from there. So I missed out on all the complications that go along with this. I'm not upset about that.
Things used to be a lot simpler.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me going down that road. It's early in the morning. I'll do it all the way till 9 o'clock if you get me started down the back in my day road. There's a lot of miles on that road. And we just keep seeing that play out on a regular basis, day to day, it seems like. I mean, even if you go so far, and I can't believe I'm jumping straight from your incoming baby to President Trump, what's his slogan? Make America what? Great again. Things aren't as good as they used to be. That's a common sentiment everywhere. And that includes having the extra pressure of knowing what's coming. But if you had your druthers, would you rather it be the way it used to be and you wouldn't know?
No. That's the ultimate. Usually that's the answer with most of these things when you think about, back in the day when things were a lot simpler. Would you rather it be that way? And usually the answer, if you really think about it, is nah. Would you, like before cell phones, you and I are both old enough to remember before cell phones, did you like it more when you didn't have a cell phone? If you think about it, you go, not really.
I don't know. I think I'm being infected with grumpy old man disease because I'm really leaning more towards I just had a conversation with my wife over the weekend. Was like, remember when back in the day when you left the house and nobody could get you? Nobody knew where you were. You couldn't be bothered. You could go out for a Sunday afternoon drive, and until you got home, well, that's it. You're off the table. You're off the hook. That was nice. That was very nice.
See, I don't think of it that way. I don't think of it that way. Remember having to sync up with people? Having to sync up with meeting people at an event? It was a whole day of just planning.
Yes.
We'll meet at the statue, at 8:30 a.m. exactly. Because otherwise you wouldn't be able to get in touch with them.
Gave you something to do with your free times. Idle hands or the devil's playground. If you're spending all your time planning meetups, you don't wind up with babies. You're too tired when you finally get there. We continue on this Monday morning. If you're expecting better content, we got some other bad news for you, but it's the Monday after Christmas before New Year's. We get what we get on this Monday here on Mornings. Keep it here.
From the Seabrook.com. Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And you feel real hurt, come on over to the place where I was.
Welcome back. SuperTalk Mississippi Mornings. Dave Hughes here. We are in the midst of College Bowl season. Of course, we're right now all counting down to the big one, the quarterfinal playoff, featuring a team that we all know and love, and the ultimate loser of the Sugar Bowl, which will be Georgia. I'm not trying to jinx anything, Will. I'm just being positive. I'm trying to stay positive.
I'll hold you to that one.
Okay. And if it doesn't work out, I will immediately redirect your call to Hey Dad. We do have one bowl today. One.
All right.
The Birmingham Bowl. Georgia Southern and Appalachian State. We've all been waiting on pins and needles for this game, I'm sure.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, Dave. The bowl season has been very fun. I don't know if you got a chance to watch BYU and Georgia Tech in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
That was actually a lot of fun. They did that well.
That was incredibly entertaining. No, the game was awesome. Came down to the last play, essentially. BYU ended up winning. But the Pop-Tarts themselves, that was as much fun as you can have with a bunch of mascots. So just to paint a picture, you had about, 15 different Pop-Tarts. People dressed up like Pop-Tarts, okay? I didn't know that Pop-Tarts made a protein Pop-Tart.
I didn't know that either.
It's called shredded in terms of muscle, strawberry. And that Pop-Tart had muscles, like fake muscles. And it was like lifting weights, but the weights that it was lifting were 2 toasters.
No.
Oh,
that's beautiful.
The trophy for the Pop-Tarts Bowl is a working toaster. Okay? There's a football on top with 2 slots, and you put Pop-Tarts in there, and they popped out. And they were eating them. And then the pièce de résistance of the Pop-Tarts Bowl is after the game, after they've crowned the MVP and give them the Pop-Tart trophy and everything, is the snacrifice. Okay? The snacrifice is when 2 Pop-Tarts are chosen to go on top of this huge toaster. Okay? This humongous toaster. These 2 mascots, they get on top of there. They dance for a little bit, and then they are slowly lowered down as flames shoot up from this toaster, and then out the side of it pops edible, life-size, big, huge Pop-Tarts that the player and coaches eat.
Why not? That leans into something I've been saying for a while, though, because I had this conversation with Lance a week or 2 ago. We have too many bowls. When you have the 5 and 7 team versus the 6 and 7 team, did we really need that?
I'm fine with that.
But I think the way forward, when you have this many bowls, because the one today, the Birmingham Bowl, sure to be a great game, is going to have a fairly limited audience, I would think.
But it's fun. That's the thing I like about it. Like I can't remember which team it was. Oh, it was Was it North Texas? They went for it on every 4th down.
Yes. Why not?
I think it was North. I may be wrong about that. Now, you have some that are snoozers. The Virginia-Missouri game was a snoozer. It wasn't. A lot of people opted out of, and you don't blame them. Same thing with LSU, and although that game ended up being pretty good because it kind of came down to the end. But you had a bunch of opt-outs and stuff. So, yeah, that part's not fun. But there are fun games. And some of these players, it's the last time they'll ever play football, so they kind of leave it all out there. And 2, it's just more college football, which is a good thing, in my opinion.
Well, the Pop-Tart Bowl, to me, is leaning into a suggestion I made during that conversation a couple of weeks ago. Some of these bowl games, and I'm not talking about the Sugar Bowl or the Cotton Bowl, the big ones, the marquee bowls. But some of these other ones need to lean more into the mindset of minor league baseball.
Okay.
Now, I'm not talking about, we don't need the Banana Ball Bowl. But like with the mascots and the themes and all of that kind of stuff that you're talking about there with the Pop-Tart Bowl, they need to lean into that a bit more, I think, because it does make it fun. It gives you something to talk about. It gives you something to buzz about with your buddies during and after the game. And then as a result, more people find out about it. And more people get to enjoy it. As opposed to, here's another football game. I know you don't know either of these teams, but have a seat. Get your popcorn. Get ready.
Well, some of them have more ability to do that. For instance, the Cheez-It Bowl, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl between Michigan and Texas. 2 very prominent programs, okay? Cheez-It will have mascots. That will be awesome. They will have fun with that. They'll have big Cheez-It mascots. They'll do something cheesy with it. However, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to have fun with the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl.
Yeah.
Between Nebraska and Utah. That one's not going to be as much fun, I don't think.
No.
Now, the Duke's Mayo Bowl is one that Mississippi State is in, where there's a lot of fun.
I was about to bring that one up specifically. I think there's a lot of potential there.
If you don't like mayonnaise, and I don't, okay, you want to stay as far away from this stadium as possible, because the amount of mayonnaise that will be consumed or distributed in some way across the field is going to be incredible. I think they used to dump mayonnaise on the winning coach.
Oh. See, I'm not a mayonnaise fan either, so no, thank you.
I've told the story many times. The reason why I'm not a mayonnaise fan is when they opened the Sam's Club in Tupelo, Mississippi, way back when, my dad somehow got his hands on a card, and this was back when Sam's used to not sell like consumer grade stuff. They sold like restaurant grade.
Yeah.
So he took a trailer. He took a trailer to that Sam's Club, and buddy, he loaded that sucker down. Okay, because the deals were so amazing. You know, why get a pint of ice cream when you can get 8 gallons for the same price? That was his mentality, and he went and bought this big, huge. It must have been 2 gallons of mayonnaise in one container. Right? And so as soon as you open it, the life expectancy for that mayonnaise goes down. So I always tell the story. Quick. And my folks are not one to waste anything. You use that up. Okay, we bought it. You're going to utilize every bit of that. And so they realize at a certain point, we're not going to be able to eat this before, it's going to go bad before we're done with it. So, what are our options? Our options are to let it go bad, throw it out after it goes bad, or let's put mayonnaise on everything that we eat moving forward. And he chose the latter. Green beans? Oh, you know what goes great with green beans?
Oh, no.
And so they started putting mayonnaise on everything, and not just little bitty dabs. I'm talking, get the ladle out, buddy.
Well, you got to use it as quick as possible. Yeah.
And so to this day, because I must have been like 7 when this happened. To this day, no more mayonnaise for William.
Yeah, that makes sense. When a common phrase you hear during your formative years is, well, just about done with this steak. You and your brothers go get the vat of mayonnaise. That's probably going to turn you against it. Yeah. That makes sense.
Dude, they bought a box of Sweet and Low. I'm telling you, it was like a case, okay? It was like a huge, and I remember like a year, because I don't think Sweet and Low goes bad. I remember like 3 years later, we were still using that one box of Sweet and Low.
Yeah, but you know what Sweet and Low really improves? The flavor of mayonnaise. Did you try that? Just sprinkle a little on top.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had tried
it. Yes, we're talking about baby names and mayonnaise. How's your day going? We continue on this Monday morning on Mornings right after this on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning.
Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. It is time on Mornings SuperTalk Mississippi to take a look at the lottery. Of course, Powerball reset because one person in Arkansas suddenly discovered 8 million new distant cousins they never knew they had by getting the correct numbers on their ticket. The current value of the jackpot there, $33 million. The cash value would be around $15.2 million. Would still take it. The big one right now, Mega Millions, $138 million, the jackpot on that one. Cash value, $63.3 million. He's not here, but what we're referring to as the official Lance Tolbert game, match 5, his favorite one. Next jackpot, $128,000. That drawing is tonight, so go ahead and get your tickets. Last information we have, lottery offices were closed for Christmas Day and the day after. The last information on winners we have is from Christmas Eve. Thousands and thousands of dollars. A bunch of people won on Cash Pop. $1,250 in Pearl, West Point, $1,250, Columbus, $1,000, Mobile, Alabama wins $1,000. Bring back over here, spend it here, thank you. Crystal Springs, $1,000, Forest, man there, won $1,000. All of that on Cash Pop. The scratch-offs, the big leader right now, once again, is the 20X, or $20 200X scratch-off. A Taylorsville woman won $2,000. A Waynesboro player won $1,000, and a West Point man won $1,000. They all have one thing in common. They all visited their local lottery retailer and bought a ticket. That's where their chance to win came from. So stop in today. You've got a chance to win. And win big with the Mississippi Lottery. You can go to mslottery.com to find out more. You can download the app to scan your tickets so that it can tell you how much you just won. There's a lot of stuff that you can do, so take advantage of that just as soon as you can. Before we get to news, Will, have you seen the controversy going on in Biloxi?
I have not.
The Sanger Theater, you know, they've been redoing it, remodeling. Looking nice, looking sharp. They posted some pictures bragging because they had the new carpet put in. And as it tends to do, the internet exploded because it's one of those carpets with a very distinctive pattern on it. Except the way it was laid, the pattern didn't match up, so it looks like you just kind of went and threw carpet out there. And now everybody's giving them grief, and they're having to tear it up and put it back down again. Here is my thought, okay? And I get it, but here is my thought on this. Sooner or later, we have to quit being so upset about every little possible thing. Well, it deserves to be right, needs to be right. Well, sure. But come on. Is this how empty our lives have become? That we're going to argue about the new carpet in the building? Just my thought on that. I may be wrong, but I just feel like we spend so much time focusing on potential problems that we go looking for problems to blow into bigger problems than they are. It's just my thought, Will.
Some people have too much time on their hands, and some people just like to be mad online.
Yes. Well, some people like to be mad in real life.
It's true.
Don't believe me. Take too long trying to turn in traffic anywhere. You'll find out real quick there's plenty of people just looking for an excuse to pitch a wobbler. And we need to rein that in a little bit, I think. We need to rein that in a lot. And there are a lot of different causes for it. I get that. But one thing I would like to point out before we get to news, and listen to news and you'll see what I'm talking about, but news from Fox News and SuperTalk Mississippi News on the way here at the top of the hour. You know, Congress has been out of session for the holiday break for a week now. Do you notice how much calmer the news is?
Yes.
There hasn't been any rage baiting. There's been some horrible things happen. We had a helicopter collision yesterday in New Jersey. We've had all these horrible things happening, but in terms of the nonstop vitriol, it just kind of seemed to die down to nothing, didn't it? That's why I keep saying a lot of the stuff that you spend a lot of time being really, really upset about is because somebody wants you to be upset about it, not because it's worth being upset over.
Amen.
That, by the way, I have zero aspersions. That little comment will have zero effect on the way the world operates. You know it, I know it, right? Double shot of news, double barrel, Fox News, SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then hour number 2 of mornings, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net. Head over there to find out more today. Keep it here.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Wake up! Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi on a Monday morning. Hope it's going very well for you. Dave Hughes in today on Mornings presented by Community Bank, where they're more than just a place to manage your money. Your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors for decades. Decades. They've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business. They're here for you every step of the way, dedicated to their customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. Coming up, next segment, actually, we have, I love talking to this guy. Economics lecturer at Mississippi State, Jim Leggett, will join us to explain why you're broke and what we can do about it. It's going to be a little more complicated than that, but that's kind of what it'll boil down to in some ways. There are a lot of moving parts financially in America, including and especially daycare in Minnesota. Now, if you want to get rich quick, apparently you open a daycare in Minnesota. Have you heard about this, Will?
Oh, my gosh.
They, a guy named Nick Shirley, independent journalist, 23 years old. He got a guy, and they went around to a bunch of daycares in Minnesota that were getting government subsidies to operate their daycares. There were no kids. There were no daycares. At one place they stopped, they found 14 different daycares based in one office where they wouldn't open the door for them. The estimates keep going up. Nick Shirley in one day found $110 million worth of fraud. The estimates coming out of the Justice Department up there are, I've seen as low as $9 billion, as high as $18 billion that have gone to fraudulent businesses in Minnesota while Tim Waltz does jazz hands.
Well, Dave, one of them, this guy who's uncovering all this, he's standing out in front of one of them. This one in Minnesota received $1.9 million this year. The name of the daycare is the Quality Learning Center, because they misspelt learning.
That's a Freudian slip, possibly.
He said in front of it, it's got this cheap sign, and it says quality. They spelled quality right, but it's Learing, Learing, instead of, they left an N out of there. And it receives $1.9 million. And it looks like it's, just an empty building.
Here is the interesting part to me. Two parts are very interesting about this story. Number one, aside from Fox News, you've heard nothing about this from any of the mainstream media. There have been a couple of stories, but those were about previous scandals and previous fraud that was found in Minnesota. Nothing about this current thing that's ongoing right now. That previous fraud, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, convictions, not accusations. They have convictions in court because those investigations started in 2022 during right in the middle of the Biden administration by Merrick Garland, of all people. Started investigating this and got convictions from people doing this. Did we stop? No. Did anybody pay attention to it? No. Did the Democratic Party look at a governor that was running a state where they already had all of these convictions for taxpayer fraud and say, well, there's our vice presidential candidate? Yes. Yes, they did. Which kind of tells you where we're at, I think. Might be wrong. But it goes back to, I'm pretty sure it was 2022, is when the cases started being filed. They've had 70-something convictions in Minnesota already, and that's not anything to do with the current scandal that's unfolding. You're going to be hearing about it. Fox News actually has had Nick Shirley on, and they've played some of his expose, which last time I checked on X was over 80 million views. That's a lot of people seeing it on there.
Yes, and the local newspapers have no coverage of it whatsoever. And in fact, there's probably a better chance that authorities in Minnesota charge Nick Shirley over this versus anybody else. I mean, it's the way it operates, right?
Yes, and the problem is, while they were doing it, I don't know if you've watched it. It's a fascinating report. It's like 40 minutes long, 41 minutes long. It's worth your 41 minutes. But at one point, they realized they've got a bunch of Somalian Americans tailing them in another car, following them around, which is not, remotely threatening. Yeah, right. So you're going to hear more about this because eventually they're not going to be able to ignore it anymore. I do know that House Speaker Mike Johnson and some other people in Congress have already sent a communique to Tim Walz and said, we demand answers now. We want documents. We want to see all of your records. We want to see what you've been doing about this. This could get interesting if they continue to push it. And I think public sentiment is going to force them to at least, make a good show of pushing it. There's going to have to be some digging because I do know on X the outrage is exploding from people who can't believe this, including some people in Minnesota who are running legitimate daycares who said they couldn't get a grant for anything. They tried and tried and tried, couldn't get one. Couldn't get any help to operate their actual, legitimate, we keep kids here every day daycare center. No help for them. The Quality Learing Center? Oh, yeah, here's a check.
Quality Learing Center.
The Quality Learing Center.
I mean, it looks, just to describe it to you, it is a building. It looks like just a cylinder block building, and it has this cheap sign, and it has like a door there. It looks just like a random, almost abandoned building that's supposed to be taking care of 99 children. I don't know why 99 is the number, but that's the number. They've received $1.9 million this year, but overall they've received $4 million. And when he went there on December 27th, when this video was posted, it was closed.
Of course.
Yep.
What a coincidence. And I would assume, I don't know this, but I would assume that the standards or the application process or the amount of money changes when you hit 100 kids. So they stopped at 99.
I would guess that there's some reason behind that. Maybe it hits another level. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, you would not send your child there. I will say that. And I just went to the largest newspaper in Minnesota, the Minnesota Star Tribune. It has nothing mentioned about it whatsoever.
I was going to say.
There's zero mention about any of this whatsoever. And just to give you an idea, it's the top 2 stories on Fox News right now.
Yes. And I mean, the Justice Department has already come out. Kash Patel's already come out and talked about this. Pam Bondi has already come out and talked about this. They're going after them in Minnesota from the federal level. They're going after this to root out as much as they possibly can. This is not just a nothing story. But still, go to ABC, go to NBC, go to CBS, go to any of them other than Fox and find it. Like you said, it's the top 2 stories on Fox today. Nobody else is even mentioning it. Gee, I wonder why.
Yep. Half of $18 billion. So federal investigators say that half of the $18 billion granted to Minnesota since 2018 could have been stolen by fraudulent schemes. Wow.
By the way, something approaching 70% of the Somalians in Minnesota donated to Democratic Party candidates. Fun stat for you. Just thought I'd throw that out there just for completion's sake. You know who I thought of when I heard this, though? When this story broke? Our buddy Shad White. He'd be frothing at the mouth right now. Well, he would have been upset years ago, probably. Minnesota? No. Jazz Hands says you're being racist if you point this out. When we come back, we're going to talk economics. Jim Leggett will join us next on Mornings. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
She long, lean, lank, and had nothing to eat. She my baby. I love her just the same.
Apparently Lance has been giving Will pointers on bumper music. Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here. Joining us now, lecturer of economics at Mississippi State University, my buddy Jim Leggett. How you doing this morning, sir?
Good, sir. Happy, post-Christmas and rolling into the new year.
Hey, now it is appropriate to me anyway to say happy holiday season because we're in between the two. Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm going to say it's a strange time of year because you kind of done with the holiday stuff. If you traveled, you're home. If you had guests, you're recovering. And you want to get going, but you really don't want to get going.
Yes, that's it. You put your finger right on it. My biggest problem is Christmas is over, New Year's is coming this week, and the Valentine stuff is in the store. So I'm confused. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing at this point. Saw somebody with a king cake out for sale. Yes, exactly, which brings me to the point, we've got an economics lecturer here. It's just a few days after Christmas. I think it's an appropriate question to ask an appropriate person. Why are we broke?
Because we spend too much money. And I have a very cynical view of Christmas. This is speaking like an economist or the Grinch. You know what Christmas is all about? Buying people stuff they don't want. People you don't like, stuff they don't want with money you don't have. And once you figure that out, the Grinch has a... I think, we have very easily availability of credit And we all know this person who thinks your credit limit means how much you're supposed to spend, and it applies at the federal government level. We all know people who have leveraged what out of themselves for Christmas, and they're just one blown tire away from quite a challenge. I think maybe it's human psychology. I think, you think about our parents' generation living through the Depression. They were afraid of debt because they saw what it could do to you when it got bad, so, and maybe there's a live now mindset, but it shakes out, and those who do what they're supposed to, eventually it works out.
Well, and I think also the old truism applies here, which is out of sight, out of mind. I just bought something, but it didn't cost me anything today. So as a result, that doesn't count. It's like it's imaginary to our subconscious.
And, maybe, I know Dave Ramsey preaches a lot about, not getting in debt and using cash. When I was younger, I would always pay cash because my dad said, you need to figure out how much it hurts to go buy something. If you just sign to the point you're making, it doesn't seem real except for once a month.
Well, and the same thing, I think, applies in a different way to paying with actual physical cash versus sticking your card in the slot and putting your PIN number in. With a debit card, it psychologically it has a different impact, I think.
Yeah, and while Dave Ramsey is a little extreme about that, his point's still valid, And when I kind of trained myself to do that, wait a minute, I just spent $50. What did I have to do to get this? And then you go, I don't really want that.
I would boil it down even simpler. If you walk in with a stack of 25s, you get $100 in $5 bills, and you buy something for $50. When you walk out, you have a smaller stack of dollars. Whereas if you use your card, you got the same card you're going home with. So I think psychologically it's a different impact.
Yeah, and I think the other way to think about it is, let's say I spent $50, I make $10 an hour. I had to get $5. I had to work for 5 hours to get that. And by the way, I hadn't even baked in the impact of taxes.
Now,
so I think as convenient as that is, I think it may, as we sit here and explore this, it may have it fueled that lack of discipline, for lack of a better word.
I'm going to come at you from out of left field. I know, a surprise. I've never done that to you. But we saw I know. I saw the sales numbers come in from the Christmas season, and they look pretty good. I want to get your expert opinion on something that I ruminated about a week or two ago. And that's the current surge in the buy now, pay later credit scheme, where you just, you go ahead and buy it now, and then you got 4 easy payments every 2 weeks. You pay such and such. Number one, is that tracked like credit card and debit card usage? And number two, what kind of impact is that having on people's spending habits, do you think?
Well, I think it accelerates it. And the thing we got to really think about, because it's easy to get money and you break it up into 4 chunks. But I think the thing we all lose track of, when you borrow money, whoever loaned that to you kind of wants it paid back. They kind of get real annoyed if you don't do that. And then what that really means is you're taking money that you could spend tomorrow and spending it today. And now think in terms of business, or say your retirement plan. If you buy a wonderful vacation to the Caribbean, that's great. But when it's done, it's done. If you've taken that $10,000 and invested and earned 5 to 10% for 15 years, you can go buy your yacht. So I think that's the bigger thing. Or if you're a business, if you spend your money on not plowing it back into business, you're not ready for that great opportunity. So probably the real answer is we enjoy now and trading off our futures.
Well, we seem to be almost 95% id in this country right now.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of forethought or pre-planning that goes into much. Honestly, that has kind of lost favor as the American way, and nowhere more so than financially. A lot of people just don't even give a passing thought to 5 years from now, much less 50. It's just not something that's on their radar.
And I think about, when I was in my 20s, folks preached about 401ks and all that sort of stuff. I don't care about that. That's 40 years from now. And of course, as you and I know, 40 years goes pretty quickly.
You blink your eyes twice, and all of a sudden, you're wondering why your knees hurt like that. And then you have to have money for the health care to get them fixed, and then you're up a creek. So that's kind of what we're talking about.
And then you got to pay for, and you got to help pay for Leering centers too.
Yes, the Leering centers are very important because if during your formative years you don't get proper Leering training, that's just going to impact your entire life. For example, if you don't know how to properly leer, you're never going to get a career in politics in Washington. And
you might end up in some set of files.
Well, it's practically a guarantee, I think, at that point. That's a very good point, Jim. But it all comes back to one thing, and it's so funny because we see so many different fiscal conversations, whether it be about taxes, whether it be about retirement systems or insurance systems or one thing or another. It seems like most of them boil down to this same thing we're talking about, which is a lack of being able to think further ahead than 1, maybe 2 years for the prodigies out there. Everybody else, we're living moment to moment, it feels like.
Yeah, and another thing thinking about, you guys were talking about the Minnesota case, and it's the latest of that. It's amazing how creative people can be getting free money. A few years ago, it was all the Medicaid scams in Florida, and it probably still go on. Part of me is amazed at human ingenuity. The other part says, the people who can dream up these scams, too bad they're not creating something really good, as opposed to just ripping off everybody.
Well, you look at, they made the movie about him. Frank Abagnale went on to work with the FBI. Big time counterfeiter, hopped the free rides all over everywhere on airplanes for free, pretending to be an airline pilot. He worked harder to make the money he made than he would have if he'd have just went and got a job as an investment banker. A lot of times we see that with these fraudsters. They work harder on the scam than they would if they just got an honest job. And I wonder if to a certain extent it's just a personality thing, Jim. I mean, if you're willing to put that kind of work in, why not do it legitimately?
Well, I think part of it is there's a thrill of getting away with stuff. I think that's part of it. But, if you look at, say, the Bezoses of the world, they came up with something different, but I think you put the two together and maybe a function of your upbringing, but you have to wonder about those guys. If they had something legitimate to go do, how much better would the world be?
Yeah, I think you're right. Jim Leggett, lecturer in economics at Mississippi State University. Can you hang around through the break?
Absolutely. I gotta get some more coffee first.
Perfect. Good timing on the break then. We'll continue with Jim right after this on SuperTalk Mississippi Mornings. Keep it here.
And they named him rock and roll.
From the Seabrook Document
of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
It's time to switch on.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Check one. Where's all my volume?
Jim Leggett's WWE walkout music.
They show is shaking. I ain't forget, but I show am breaking. My BLT's just still waiting on the bacon. For heaven's sake, good gracious. There's too much mud at the end of the money. Not enough.
Our buddy Steve Azar would love that. Welcome back, Jim Leggett, economics lecturer at Mississippi State University, and I think that's a common sentiment, isn't it? There's too much month at the end of the money, but that phrase has been going around for a long time. Are things that much different now than they were, say, 30 years ago, 50 years ago?
Probably not, because I think one of the why you even have the discipline of economics, we want more stuff than we have resources to go get. I think, we were talking earlier about, I'll call it easy money, probably has accelerated that trend. But I think we all struggle with, think back when everybody was involved in subsistence farming. If you didn't stash enough stuff away during the winter, you might die. Of course, that's a little different than just running out of money. So, but I think that's probably one why they even created the profession of economics. How do we get the most we can from our scarce resources? And we always want more than we can have. If we made an extra $100,000, we'd be really happy. And then we'd want to go get up to the next level. And that's just maybe part of the human condition.
Well, I think you're probably right. And, it's something, do we overcomplicate economics, do you think, in general?
I do. I think part of it, the discipline is kind of responsible for that, because I think every discipline, whatever it may be, a friend of mine used to say, first step is you got to create a set of exclusionary jargon that no one understands, so you can look like a high priest. But the principles are kind of straightforward. You got unlimited wants and limited resources. If you look at the stuff that gets into supply and demand, how markets work, it's the basic motivations of how we as consumers do stuff and how we as sellers do stuff. And I just judging from my students, I don't know what I always text, I said, you guys already know all this stuff. Now we're just putting a little framework around it so you can think about it. I try the analogy like you guys know about gravity. You may not know about the calculus behind gravity, but I think when we try to flesh out what we already know, that sometimes ties folks up in knots. But I had a professor who used to say economics was applied common sense. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. And then I go, kind of like, for example, I use gas prices are kind of low right now. Well, no one's driving anywhere. And in about March, it's going to go up. It's not some giant conspiracy. It's like it's spring break and road trip, But if we use supply and demand, we think about it. So I think part of it is folks come to the discipline thinking it's mysterious and they won't understand. And by the way, part of it is. And I think part of it, we don't do a terribly good job of stripping it through. Did you ever know of a fella, Thomas Sowell?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he has a gift for communications. And he wrote a book called Basic Economics. And he decided he didn't like the way the textbooks worked. And he decided to see if he could do it all in words. And he did it. And when I first started teaching, I used that because I wanted to strip away the jargon too. And it's, so our listeners who seriously want to go study the discipline, that's a pretty good way to wrap themselves around it.
Well, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, and he has a gift for communications that not everybody has.
Yeah, and I think that old truism applies here. If you can't explain it to a 5-year-old where they will understand it, you don't really understand it yourself. And I think there's some truth in that.
Yeah, there was, I think it was some movie, I'm saying Margin Call, about the financial crisis, and whoever the lead partner said, okay, I want you to explain it like you were talking to my golden retriever. But his point was, don't hide behind the jargon. Strip it down to, and I think the guy that played the new Spock basically said, well, we ran out of money.
There we go. Problem solved. Now, speaking of which, 1 week from tomorrow, the 2026 legislative session kicks in, and there's a lot of things being discussed: education reform, economic reform. There has been some talk about using some of the surplus money to solve some of our problems. What would you, as an economist, like to see happen during this legislative session to best benefit Mississippi?
Well, I think we've learned, or we've seen, is we've actually kind of turning the ship on education. Which most of the world thought Mississippi had never figured this out. And my impression is you did it the old-fashioned way, fundamentals, like no learning centers and things like that. But that investment will pay off significantly. I think, so I'm thinking about this in terms of how do we make this state better for the next generation. Not talking about this year. I'm talking about my students now. You'd want better quality of education, which improves workforce, which means you get it. And infrastructure, we need roads. My wife worked with the economic development people with the Golden Triangle, and the two things they care about most is availability of labor. I can train them, but I still need them. And infrastructure, which means roads. One of the things I didn't appreciate till I listened to her talk about is the importance of power. And natural gas, all those kind of things. So I think what I'd like to see them do is have discipline, foresight, whatever you want to call it. Just take some of that money and do things that will pay off long after they've left the legislature. Which I know I'm asking it to work against human nature, but as an example, you see my North Carolina hat. During the early '60s, the governor recognized, wait a minute, I got 3 major universities here. And all the graduates are leaving. That's wrong. And they created Research Triangle Park, which for about 15 years everybody thought was stupid. And now, then something happened, and the Triangle area is not the same thing. But those guys probably got castigated. Why do we want to waste all our money for this boondoggle? But look at how that world has changed, and you can see in the Golden Triangle elements of that. I think. We Mississippi State churn out some pretty good students who would rather stay in the state, but the opportunity is not there. But that could change in 30 years.
No, definitely. And I think what you're talking about really plays back into what we were talking about in the last segment. Yep. It's working for the future instead of instant gratification. And we tend to lean more towards instant gratification, even in terms of legislative priorities, sometimes it feels like.
Yeah. Well, now also you kind of look at the incentives. The long run is the next election. And it shouldn't surprise people those are the incentives because that's how it works. But I think we've seen some folks work through that. I don't know if you've been here lately, but you go look at like the aluminum plant next to the airport up here. You go, that is world class. And then 1,000 jobs paying 90,000 plus. That changes lives. It changes the character of a region, but it required some foresight. I'm sure when Evelyn Link wanted to buy that land, that's a stupid idea, but you have to do that because, say you and I bring a company in, we want to roll now. Do you have the roads? Do you have the power? Sometimes they build a spec building, and that kind of stuff is necessary to compete, and it changes the community,
Well, the same rule applies across the board. We interview a lot of people that put on festivals and events and things like that, and they talk all the time that they start planning next year's event a day or two after this year's comes to an end if they don't start planning it ahead of time. You have to work towards the future. That aluminum plant you're talking about, the work didn't start when they broke ground. It took a while to get to that point where the shovel hit the dirt, and that's the part I think is the most important that we need to focus on, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting looking at the dynamics of it. Let's say our XYZ company, I'll contact them, and they have, I won't say sitting on the shelf, but they have the raw materials that say, oh, you want to do this, here's all this, and then it gets to the point where they're ready to go talk about it.
Jim Leggett.
I found fascinating insights.
From Mississippi State University, always enjoyed talking to you, and we will not, I'm speaking on behalf of everyone, I'm speaking ex cathedra here, we will not hold the North Carolina hat against you.
I did wear my state shirt today.
Yeah, so, some concessions help. That is very true. Jim, always enjoy it, my friend. You have a wonderful new year, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again sometime after the first.
We'll solve some other problem.
Or at least make them worse. At least it's a result, right? We continue on this Monday morning on Mornings right after this. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
Ready? Mornings with Richard Cross.
People want to hear the truth, man. That's what we're going to do.
Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net. That's where you can go to find out more information. You know, I always enjoy talking to Jim. He's got a great perspective on things, and it's a perspective of simplifying what is always presented as a complex topic, but it does all boil down to what's going to happen down the road is because of what you do now. We have gotten so hooked on instant gratification. I want it now, that we sometimes miss that particular path. I meant to talk to Lance about this Friday when he was here. Because he had mentioned this, and I watched, Will, I don't know if you've seen this. They have a mini-series. I think it's on Netflix. It's on one of the streaming platforms. I don't know. I don't keep up with that. Something starts, and I sit down and watch it. I don't control the remote. But it's a little mini-series, very well done, called Death by Lightning. Have you heard about this?
Absolutely. I loved it.
That was a fantastic show. Well, yeah, and it tells a story, in case you're not aware, of the assassination of President Garfield. And does a really good job, and from everything I've looked at and researched, it's pretty historically accurate. But you watch that, and it gives you a window into politics in the 1800s in America, and it wasn't nearly as different from now as you think it was.
I know people looking out for their own interests and worried, more about their image than the actual fundamentals of good governance. It's crazy.
Being jerks, just in general, just for fun, it seemed like sometimes. But got down, the last scene, and spoilers for those of you that have been, in a coma for 400 years, Garfield dies. But after he dies...
What?
I know. The President Garfield died back in the 1800s after Guiteau shot him. And I think Guiteau pretty well nailed it with his quote, said, "I didn't kill the president, I just shot him. The doctor killed him," which was kind of true in a way. But the very last scene, they're running through everybody and they explain what happened to them after, the assassination, how things played out. They followed Chester Arthur and Senator Blaine and all these different people. And then they cut to his house with his wife and his family all getting together for a big outdoor meal at the outdoor table. And his daughter shows up with her husband and their kid. Me being me, I saw that and my first thought was, I wonder if there are any descendants of James Garfield still alive, still kicking around. The answer is yes, quite a lot of them. One great-great-grandson and a great-great-great-grandson are maintaining that home, that house, as kind of a memorial/museum to James Garfield. But the interesting one, and this to me plays into what we were talking about. What you do now has an impact 100 years from now. His great-great-grandson, Richard Garfield, mathematician, got a doctorate in math, still kicking around. You would know him better as the guy that created the game Magic the Gathering. The Dungeons and Dragons card game. Yeah. The great-great-grandson of President James Garfield came up with Magic the Gathering. Which just fascinated me. I found that out, when I got curious and started looking, and I just sat there thinking for a while, how what you do now, how things go now, can have an impact 150 years. I mean, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry that he created, because he came. That was the first collectible card game system that anyone ever devised. So every time you see the Pokemon cards and everything else, no, that came from Magic the Gathering and the great-great-grandson of President Garfield.
If you haven't seen the series, it's like 4 or 5 episodes, right?
I think it's 4. Yeah.
It's funny. It's, like you said, historically accurate. It's very entertaining from beginning to end. And even if you have no interest in history whatsoever, you will still get a kick out of it because the performances are so good. And like I said, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Chester A. Arthur kind of steals the whole.
Holy cow. Chester A. Arthur.
The most unqualified president we ever had, and that's including, some other people on the list that you think, wow, looking back, that person should have been president. Chester A. Arthur was a collector at the New York port, okay? And his next job was vice president and then president. How does a guy go from that? It tells the story, and it's a pretty entertaining one.
And before Garfield was shot, Arthur tried to quit, and Garfield wouldn't let him. And then he wound up in the White House. You never know what's going to happen when you roll out of bed and put your boots on. It's time for news from Fox and SuperTalk Mississippi News on mornings next.
What are we going to do? Rise and shine with information and insight.
Check it out.
Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi.
Found my papa's son wandering out a smoking gun. Now some of you
welcome back. Hour number 3 of mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here. One little follow-up that I found out during the news break there, Will. I told you that President Garfield's great-great-grandson, Richard, invented Magic the Gathering. Richard's granduncle Samuel Fay invented the paperclip.
Hey.
One of those things you never think about somebody inventing, but at one point there were no paperclips. Until Samuel Fay said, what if we take this wire and bend it?
Yes.
And then I wonder how much is sold in paperclips every year. How big of an industry did he create by coming up with that idea? It's the little things. We ignore that. Everybody looks for the big flashy stuff, but it's the little things a lot of times that make a difference. New report is out. They have issued the report for 2025, specifically in the number of UFO reports received by the National UFO Reporting Center. Want to take a guess how many in America? In 2025?
This is just from random people, or just from...
Yeah, just in general.
Oh, 1 million.
No. 4,200.
That's a lot. I thought people would see UFOs all the time.
Now, that number, they are backing out all of the supposed drone sightings that we had, the big wave of those. They're not counting those. But... other regular, if you can use that term, regular UFO sightings, 4,200 for 2025. That's a lot lower than I thought it was going to be, too.
I figured just amongst the general public there'd be, at least 1,000 a day or something, but yeah.
Now, here's the interesting thing, because you know this after a decade of working together. My brain ain't wired right. I see something like that, and I immediately start asking strange questions, and then I have to go find the answer. Did you know they have done studies, and UFO sightings are more common in wealthier areas, and they go up during economic downturns? There are more UFO sightings in richer places, but those UFO sightings increase in number in those areas and all across everywhere during bad economic times, like, say, the Biden administration. That's fascinating to me, that there's a correlation there. It doesn't imply causation at all. Don't come at me with that on the C-Spire text line. I'm not saying it does, but that is just a demonstrated fact. You plot it all out. Richer people see more UFOs, and they see even more than normal if it's a bad year financially.
I have no earthly explanation for that.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing that I don't think anybody has done much study into. I'm reading a report here. Higher UFO reporting. It says higher UAP reporting. I refuse to call them UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon.
UAP sounds like a condition that you have.
Yes.
I can't come into work today, boss. I got a UAP going on.
Ask your doctor if Stavros is right for your UAP. But it says higher UFO reporting levels in a region can indicate less public attention to economic news, leading to weaker responses to monetary policy changes. Which the implication there is people start seeing more UFOs, and then other people in charge of the financial policies can get away with stuff. It's kind of the implication there. Which then leads you down the garden path of conspiracy theory, too. So how many of these UFO sightings are manufactured to distract everyone while they continue to play the shell game?
But see, I don't think they do. In this day and age, Dave, people are so distracted by TikTok, by whatever, their own personal lives, their work, their kids, whatever, that 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, if a UFO landed in, New York City, it's the biggest story in the world for the next decade, right? All the implications. There's life on other planets, whatever. I think if a UFO landed right now in the middle of New York City, it would be the biggest story for about a week, and then we would move on to something else. I mean, our attention spans as a human race just is so much shorter nowadays. Okay.
Well, and to be fair, if a UFO landed in New York City, they'd immediately be given a several $100 gift card and a free apartment because they're immigrants. By definition.
That's true. But think about all the UFO. We've had the government come out and say, yeah, they pretty much exist.
Yeah.
And do you think this is front page news? Maybe it was for about 15 minutes, and then we move on to something else.
Look, you talk about that, and you know this as well as anyone. In our business, you stay connected 24/7. You don't have a choice. That's the job. That's what you do.
Yeah.
I have started something that has improved my life just exponentially. On Friday, when I get done for work, my phone, and yours too, all of them, have a neat little feature that most people don't realize. It's called Do Not Disturb. You turn that on, it won't ring, it won't buzz, it won't give you a notification. You won't find out anything about anything until you decide to go check. Until you decide to go look and notice. that has been life-changing because I'm having wonderful weekends now because it's not every 5 seconds with something ridiculous.
But the attention span of the average American, I'm just going to use America as an example, is so short nowadays. When a couple of years ago, when all this UFO stuff got kicked back up and you were having these government, hearings, these hearings on Capitol Hill about UFOs, and, years ago, again, 30 years ago, they would have been denounced as quacks and all this kind of stuff, and it was just, this is conspiracy theories and, save this for Coast to Coast AM at midnight. But it was in the mainstream. You had actual sitting representatives saying, yeah, they exist. We don't know what they are.
You had, military figures coming in and testifying going, yeah.
And how big of a news story was that?
It should have been the news story.
It lasted for about a day.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to something else. That's why I stick to my theory that if a UFO landed in Central Park, okay, and said, we come in peace, it would be the story for about a week, and then we would move on to, what's Kim Kardashian doing? She's getting married again. We would move on to something else.
But what does Chuck Schumer think about it? That would be immediate. They would run to him and AOC for their reading on the alien ship that landed in Central Park. And if they're going to put any legislation and propose it in the halls of Congress to deal with intergalactic safety, because as soon as the aliens stepped out of their ship in Central Park, they got mugged. That would be the immediate reaction to it.
Yeah. I think our attention spans are so much shorter nowadays.
Where's the end result for that? Because it's been becoming more and more prevalent. You're exactly right. Attention spans are shrinking. They're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, shorter and shorter.
It's going to continue because you think about children nowadays. How often do you go to a restaurant and you see a child with a device in front of them? It's all the time.
But the problem is, functionally, from the laws of physics, there's only so short content can be provided to you. At one point, are we going to have David Muir on ABC News, and they're going to roll the music, which is going to last for 2 seconds, which is long at that point, and they're going to cut to him, and he's going to be holding his paper and looking exactly, as my wife says, like Sam the Eagle. Next time you see him and listen to him, think of Sam the Eagle from the Muppets.
Yeah.
It's very true. And all he'll do is go, war, economy, bad. More after
content creators say that you have about 3 seconds to get people's attention.
Yes.
After 3 seconds, if you're not entertaining enough, they go on to the next thing. I think that's going to continue. That's not going to end, because same thing with our attention spans. My attention span is so short nowadays. If I don't have my phone in front of me at all times, I feel like I'm missing out on something.
I'm sorry, I was zoned out. What did you say?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Well, all I know is you got 3 seconds to get someone's attention, and you're not going to hold it for much longer after that. So the next segment of this 3-hour show is on the way next on mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
Go on, man. The news you need.
Every 10, 15 minutes, there's something.
The talk you love.
They really talk about the things that matter. I'm into all that stuff.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi and Mornings, presented by Community Bank, where they're here for every part of your financial journey. If you're looking to manage your personal finances, their banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. If you're ready to grow your business, they offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. And if you're dreaming of a new home, the mortgage specialists at Community Bank are there to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. They're more than just a bank. They're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. Coming up in the next segment, J.T. Mitchell from SuperTalk Mississippi News joins us, and we're going to, while we've got him here, we're going to talk about New Year's Eve and mayonnaise.
Okay.
That seems appropriate. It's been that kind of morning. If you've missed out, you can go catch the replay. It's available everywhere fine replays are hosted. YouTube, we have clips all the time on TikTok and Facebook, and nothing on MySpace. Why are we not big on MySpace, Will?
I don't think it exists anymore. Does it still exist?
I think it does. I think it's mostly a band promotion platform now, last I looked at it.
I never got into MySpace. That was a little bit before my time.
Yeah, well, I'm old. I had a MySpace account.
Probably still out there, too.
Oh, yeah, that's what's even more frightening about it. It probably still exists, and it will absolutely destroy me if it's found because it was stupid. But that was the point of MySpace at that point. Everything is so super serious now. Everything has to be serious. Everything has to carry meaning, and all that has managed to do is make meaning meaningless. That's the way it always works, right? New study out. I got to work this one in. The Heaven You study. Who did this? Where is it here? I'm looking for the people that actually did this study. Here in the U.S., the study says that if you've got a big butt, you've got ADHD or autism. So, check your trunk. If there's junk in there, you may have autism or ADHD. There's a big discussion going on about whether or not autism is overdiagnosed or whether it has really increased. Why can't it be both? Why have we lost all sense of nuance? Yes, we're paying more attention to it. Yes, we're finding more, and yes, there's more of it because humanity changes from generation to generation. And it goes back to what you were talking about just a moment ago with attention spans. That kind of plays into that same exact factor. Everything in life, and particularly our culture and society right now, leads us to having a shorter attention span and less ability to focus. And if that's not ADHD, I don't know what is.
Yeah, our attention spans, it's instant gratification, too. Nobody wants to wait on anything. They want everything taken care of right then. If you have a headache, let's take 6 Tylenol because that'll get rid of it faster. I don't want to go a minute through suffering. Everybody wants everything instantaneously. It's just because of technology, we've become conditioned to that, I think.
That is the point I keep making about the Epstein files stuff. That's part of the point. Everybody expected that deadline day would hit, we'd get the files released, and people are going to be in cuffs. We're going to perp walk big people, big names in front of the cameras. Nothing ever works that way. I know you want it now, but nothing works that way. And I still stand by my theory. This, to a certain extent, has been a big distraction. It has been a manufactured distraction. Let me know when you see actual results and consequences from all of this nonstop brouhaha that we've had to suffer through for the last year or two.
Yeah, I refuse to be distracted by it. I mean, I don't think much is going to come of it. And I just don't believe there's this big conspiracy. Did some people do some bad stuff? Yeah, there's evidence of that. Bill Clinton needs to answer for it. Some others do too. But yeah, if you think he's going to be handcuffed and sent to jail, I don't believe it.
I stand by my opinion. If you firmly believe, and I think there's a lot of truth here, that there are people in our government and in our country that have worked for years and years and years to hide some absolutely horrific behavior by rich, wealthy, or famous people and keep it under wraps so that they suffer no consequences. Explain to me why you think those same people are suddenly going to make them face consequences for what they've been working so hard to hide all this time. The Fox is always going to tell you that the henhouse security has been upgraded. Every time you ask him, you're not going to get a result from it, but you're going to spend all your time thinking about that and talking about that. And I got a great example of that. Do you know what today is a deadline in Washington? Do you know what today is the deadline for?
What?
Chuck Grassley sent an email a couple of weeks ago, back on December 15th, sent a letter reminding the Department of Justice. Today is the deadline for the official Department of Justice report, here's a throwback, on the Anthony Weiner laptop. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That was 8 million centuries ago, it feels like. Big deadline today. We're going to get some answers today. We're going to find out what's going on, and people are going to pay. Are you that gullible? Really? You really that credulous that you haven't even thought about Anthony Weiner's laptop in years, and today all of a sudden, though, it's going to be different. Don't quit buying into this. Quit buying into all of this nonsense, and let's focus on the economy, education, and making sure that at least some of the potholes get filled in. Let's take care of the fundamentals and the basics first.
Yeah, that's what it makes me so angry with some of these politicians that will focus on stuff like this, like it's some big grand conspiracy, all this kind of stuff, and it's like, just take care of the job that you already have instead of worrying about all this junk.
Well, I'm just going to say this as a very general statement. When you don't feel like you really can and it's not in your best interest to solve the problems, you come up with something else to get people to look at.
Yeah.
It's like a street magician. Please notice there's nothing in my hand. The other hand is in your pocket lifting your wallet while you're focused on this one to make sure they're not up to no good. Yeah, right. Still got 14,000 people across the state without power right now, by the way. Had some wind last night.
Man, it was kicking at my house. It was kicking.
They seem to have finally gotten it under control up in Lafayette County. They're down to 63 outages. They had several. The big place, Wilkinson County, down here in my neck of the woods, they still have 2,100 people sitting in the dark right now. Here in Southwest Mississippi, we got hit pretty hard. We got 1,000 here in Pike County.
Good grief.
So the majority of those 14,000 are down here, with a couple of exceptions. One of those, 2,238 people with no power in Hinds County, right there in Jackson. So that was to be expected. You notice the temperature dropped. Well, that was the edge of that front that's going to make it stupidly cold tomorrow morning.
It went from, at my house, it was 79 degrees yesterday. We had the air conditioner on for most of the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I stepped outside at one point, and I could tell a difference. And then this morning, obviously I was up at like 4 a.m. I walked outside. I was like, oof, 79 yesterday.
It was so cold when I walked out the door this morning, I turned around, went back inside, and put on different socks. That's how you know it's cold, when Dave changes his socks. It's cold. The little piggies were shivering. That's going to continue for a day or two, and then we're right back to, I hate to say normal temperatures. We haven't had those in a while, but higher temperatures, we'll say, by this weekend. Middle of the week, though? Yeah, no, not so much. When we come back, J.T. Mitchell, the Mayonnaise King. We got to get that T-shirt made, Will, by the way. We'll have him from SuperTalk Mississippi News when we return on mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Seabrook. Conversations and clarity. What a great way to start your Mississippi day. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. It's news time. Well, it's mayonnaise time. Same thing right now. We welcome to the studio, as always, sitting in the big chair, our buddy J.T. Mitchell from SuperTalk Mississippi News. How you doing this morning, man?
I'm good, Dave. Nothing like talking mayonnaise on a Monday morning.
Oh, it's worse than that. We started at 6 o'clock.
I heard, and so I have something to work off that because, you know, this company it's a great company. As you know, we all work here, and we have some really good, not only radio people, but reporters, and Brian Haydad is one of those. And I was listening to a Jeff Levy press conference a couple weeks ago, and I didn't hear Haydad. I was like, I wonder if he's there. And then the very last question, this is why he will win a Pulitzer Prize.
Do you like mayonnaise?
I do not.
Yeah. Call it.
But I've never been more excited about having the opportunity to get it dumped on me. But no, I do not. Not even a little bit.
That is perfect, and you're right. That's Pulitzer-winning material right there.
The awards will start rolling in, Mr. Haydad. So Jeff Levy does not like mayonnaise, but if it means getting it poured on him for the Bulldogs to win their first bowl game in 3 years, he's all for it.
I don't blame him. That's a small price to pay, having to wash mayonnaise out of your hair and get it out of your ears.
Yeah, and who says bowl games are dead? I mean, yesterday you had dancing Pop-Tarts. You might have Jeff Levy getting mayonnaise poured on him. This is fun stuff, Dave.
It really is. And we talked about that in the 6 o'clock hour. I think we need more of that. We need more fun things like this associated with the 712 bowl games we've wound up with so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you could do. What is it, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl? I know that's not like a wasabi company as in terms of the food, but maybe make the coach eat a bunch of wasabi. I don't know, but there's some fun stuff you can do.
Yeah, dumping wasabi on you would be an entirely different experience for mayonnaise.
Imagine the eyes, if you got it in your eyes.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He's got tears of joy. Look at the coach. No, he's got wasabi in his eyeballs. That's what the problem is. Now, it's possibly for some people going to have the same consistency and experience level of having a vat of mayonnaise dumped on top of you, but we're gearing up for an election year, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, midterms will be here before you know it. Nice segue, because my eyes were burning trying to go through all the candidates over the weekend. But Friday was the filing deadline for when you had to file to qualify to be included in the midterms. And, man, it's going to be busy. I mean, you have, 6 people, including Cindy Hyde-Smith, running in the Senate race. And then every House district has at least 3 candidates, some of which have up to 6, 7. It's going to be a busy 2026.
I would just like to point out the Mississippi Democratic Party sent out an email this morning with the list of their candidates for all the offices. And then about an hour later, they sent out a correction because they misspelled one of their names.
I saw that, and I won't go there. I will say, though, that this may be one of the more competitive congressional cycles we've seen in a while. Not to say that the Democratic Party is going to be able to step in and win more than one seat. I'm not here saying that. But it's interesting seeing the candidates that they've worked pretty hard to put out there. I mean, Scott Colomb, a respected district attorney in Lowndes County, will run against Cindy Hyde-Smith, assuming he wins that Democratic nomination and she wins the GOP nod. And then Cliff Johnson, he's up there with the Ole Miss School of Law. He's a civil rights attorney. He's running on the Democratic side against Trent Kelly. And then get this, Dave. I thought this was interesting. For the first time in a long time, I'll say that, Congressman Benny Thompson is being challenged by more than one person on the Democratic side. And one of those people is Evan Turnage. He's kind of an up-and-comer. He's 33. He went to Yale. He worked as chief counsel for Chuck Schumer, worked for Elizabeth Warren. He's respected in D.C. Obviously, Congressman Thompson is respected by his party as well. But that's kind of interesting. And then for the first time, also in a long time, I think there's a viable Republican candidate running against Benny Thompson as well. And that's Kevin Wilson, who, by the way, is the largest independent oil man in the state of Mississippi from Natchez. He's very well respected in southwest Mississippi. He's running as a Republican. I mean, I do think 2026 is going to be a fun cycle to watch.
Benny Thompson is running for, correct me if I'm wrong, I may have this number wrong, I think this would be his 18th term.
Correct. He was first elected in 1993. And if my math is correct, 18 is right because it's 2-year terms.
Yeah. We keep having this resurface every so often about term limits of some kind. And I'm not picking on Benny Thompson, even though it's fun. But I'm not doing that. Just in general, is that discussion, in your opinion, fruitless? Because I don't see it happening.
No, I feel like it's more of a campaign buzzword. I think that you're going to have a couple people every year who introduce a bill and then can go back to their district and say, hey, I tried to get term limits. Didn't work, but I tried. You've seen the same thing in the Mississippi legislature in the past where people have thrown out a bill to enact term limits, but it's gone nowhere. I think people, once they get in office, they really like keeping office, as we see with people who are sitting up there for 18 terms. And I'll tell you what, Congressman Thompson doesn't have the most terms out of anybody in D.C. Oh, no. There are people up there who have been up there since they were 22 years old or whatever it was, and now they're 80. It's been a long-standing pattern. It really has. And so I don't see term limits really going anywhere. I could be wrong. It's kind of the same deal, Dave, with the government shutdown and congressional members were still getting the opportunity to get paid. And then afterwards, you had a couple people come in and say, oh, we should not be paid during future government shutdowns. Well, where was that, before the nearly 3-month-long shutdown? I think it's kind of in the same conversation.
No, I think you're exactly right. And I still think, though, that conversation will continue to be had, and the cries for that will get louder and louder because, once again, with the shifting of things in each election, we're back now. We have reclaimed the title. From what I understand, this Congress is the oldest Congress in the history of the country.
You see, I haven't heard that, but I'm not shocked. You tell me that, and I don't even argue it a little bit. So that's where we're at. But when it comes to midterms, I do want to remind people that if you're not a registered voter, go do it. I mean, I get on here and I say all the time that if you don't vote, you can't complain. At least that's my motto. Party primaries will be on March 10th, runoffs, if needed, on April 7th, and then November 3rd will be the big day where we have the general election. We will have some smaller races sprinkled in with some judgeships. And then we may have some Supreme Court seats next November if that federal order demanding that we redraw the state lines goes through.
I wonder if we could, if we have to redraw the state lines, I wonder if we could work it around to where we could just accidentally draw 5 and get the voter initiative thing back active.
I think a lot of your listeners would want to see the ballot initiative reenacted. I'm old, and this is an example of being old. We went out to a dinner party over the weekend, and the ballot initiative got brought up. And so we talked about it for 45 minutes, and what an old person conversation to have. But there are people who don't work in this industry who are extremely disappointed that the ballot initiative got stripped. And we all know the story. It was with medical marijuana. What was that, Initiative 65? Went to the ballot, had the majority of Mississippians approve, but then the lawsuit happened, blah, blah, blah. Here we are, no ballot initiative. And that was, what are we, Dave? Are we 5 years from it being stripped?
Yeah, 5 years it's been, and still no action in that regard. Sooner or later, I just feel like those bills are going to come due at the ballot box, so to speak, if something isn't done. Because it's one thing to never really cross the line and give people something they want. It's another to take it away and then they get upset and you don't listen and give it back. I think that's a different situation a little bit politically. And I think sooner or later they'll have to do something with it.
You would think. And, we're gearing up for the session. That is January 6th, and so we're 8 days away. And every year, the newsroom does a legislative preview article where we preview the big topics that are expected to be brought up. And we're still trying to figure out if ballot initiatives should be included because obviously people want it, but do lawmakers? I'm not so convinced.
Yeah, well, there hasn't been an enormous buzz about it. If you can hang on through the break, we'll talk about something more positive. And when we come back, I will be glad to lean back in my chair and let you stare into my gray beard and talk about how old you are.
It's all about what's in here, Dave.
I was having a good day.
Come on now. It's still a good day. It's a Monday.
You probably still have abs. I don't want to hear it. JT Mitchell with SuperTalk Mississippi will continue with us next on Mornings. Keep it here.
You're waking up to what matters. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Girl, don't bother me, lock your door. It's out there hollering, darling, don't you love me no more.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings. Presented, of course, by the folks at Community Bank. They're rooted in our community, and you can find out just how much by going to communitybank.net to find out more. JT Mitchell in the big chair there. We have today, we have tomorrow, we have Wednesday, and then we have used up 2025. It'll be done, which means it's time to party like it's 1990. Well, no, that was Prince. It's time to party like it's about to be 2026, and we've got some good events going on, don't we?
Man, yeah, Mississippi puts a fun spin on Times Square. Obviously, we don't have the giant ball that New York does, but this state drops everything from oysters to catfish to anchors and more. It's a lot of fun. And I tell you what, our newsroom doesn't just cover politics, and we don't just cover mayonnaise. We also cover events happening in your neighborhood. And so we have a full rundown at supertalk.fm of some of our favorite New Year's Eve events. So real quick, everything, of course, will be on New Year's Eve, but Bay St. Louis will drop the giant oyster. Pascagoula will drop the giant anchor. Government Street in Ocean Springs does it's a ball that's filled with LED lights, kind of like New York. The one I've been to is at Howland Mouse in Jackson, which is actually, fun fact, the oldest New Year's Eve drop in Mississippi, and it's this giant crystal catfish that they descend from the top of the bar. It's pretty cool stuff. Hattiesburg does the Hub City sign drop. A drop that I did not know existed until last year is that in Water Valley, fish is still the theme, and they drop a giant crappie fish. I know. And then, of course, you have some other stuff going on in Tupelo, Meridian. Other cities across the state will be doing something fun. You know, Halloween is my favorite holiday. I know that's a hot take, but New Year's Eve is up there as well.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think it gets unnecessarily maligned by some.
It does. People want to skip over Halloween, and don't skip over New Year's either. I also love making New Year's resolutions.
Well, they don't just skip over Halloween. They skip over Thanksgiving as well, it seems.
It does. Yep. Thinking about Christmas. Always thinking about Christmas.
Well, we also, in the ever-present, ongoing, nonstop march of consumerism, we tried to skip over Christmas. The Valentine stuff's been in the stores for 2 weeks.
I saw that. My wife and I, we were trying to go catch one of these end of Christmas sales to get a new tree for next year when they're 50% off. And it was a bunch of Valentine's Day stuff. What are we doing?
Yes. You mentioned resolutions. You got any resolutions you'd like to share that you're making?
My team and I, we always do a meeting where we talk about our work resolutions, how to become better journalists, how to bring better news to the people of Mississippi. We will have that later today. For me personally, it's to read a bit more and to work out a bit more. And maybe grow a beard like you.
The last one I can get behind. Don't make your abs any better. I've already got an inferiority complex after the age comment.
If I have abs, they're hiding somewhere, Dave.
Oh, mine ran away from home many years ago.
Never to return.
I like the idea of resolutions, but I have really become a convert to a different take on it. I make July 1st resolutions because why do you wait until one day a year to decide to change things for the better in your life?
I like that. That's like a half-year resolution.
Yes. If we can have Christmas in July, I can have a New Year's resolution to start July.
Absolutely correct. And years ago, I learned not to do broad resolutions. I know I came over here and said work out more and read more, but I actually do have numbers to my resolutions because when you make broad resolutions, your chances of fulfilling those, they plummet. And so you got to do simple stuff like 10 push-ups a day or whatever it is that you are trying to do, something that's actually attainable. So there's my unsolicited advice of the day for the people thinking about their New Year's Eve resolutions.
Well, I think you're onto something there. And to me, the most important function of that, and it's the way the human mind works, it's not even that it's attainable, it's that it's measurable.
Yeah, I agree.
If you resolve in 2026, I'm going to get rich, well, okay, define that. Put a number on it. But if you resolve in 2026, I'm going to make $10,000 more than I made this year. Okay, now you can track it. Now you can tell how you're doing, which is motivating. So be specific. Especially about your mayonnaise, and JT's abs will be proud of you. JT Mitchell, always enjoy talking to you, man.
Hey, I appreciate it, Dave. I appreciate it, Will, and I appreciate all the listeners. Go to supertalk.fm for the latest news.
I got a resolution for the SuperTalk Mississippi News team. You all need fedoras with the white card in the band that says press.
And we'll start smoking cigarettes in the newsroom again.
Yeah, cigar. Yeah, we're going to be classy about this. Caleb would look fantastic. I'm just saying. Thank you so much. Enjoyed it. A great morning. As always, Will on point with the music. Did a fantastic job. And you know what? We all get to do this again Wednesday morning. Here on Mornings, my friend. I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.